Why do we care about absolute convergence or conditional convergence? Okay, so it's actually pretty cool. Let's look at this. Okay, does everyone agree that this is an alternating series? It's minus 1 to the n, right? Which term is the first term's going to be positive or negative? Because it's n equals 1. What will my first term be? Positive or negative? Negative, yeah. Okay, so some weird stuff happens with this. You get negative 1 plus positive 1 plus negative 1 plus positive 1 forever, right? Now you start looking at this and you're like, hey, negative 1 plus 1, what do those two terms add up to? 0. Negative 1 plus 1, what do those two terms add up to? So looking at this, you're like, oh, it's just a bunch of zeros added together, so what should this be equal to? 0, right? Because it's just a bunch of pairs of zeros. Now, you could look at this slightly differently, and this is where it gets weird. Let's forget about that first negative 1. You get negative 1 plus 1, and then minus 1, plus 1, minus 1, forever and ever. What is this 1 minus 1 going to give you here? And what is this 1 minus 1 going to give you? But after, you get a bunch of zeros afterwards, but you have that negative 1 there. So you're like, wait, this should be equal to negative 1. And you're like, wait, which one is it? So you're like, you look at this, you're like, this is weird. I am getting different answers. It's like when you're dating someone and they keep on like telling you, I'm committed to this relationship, but I'm also not committed to this relationship depending upon how I like move shit around. And you're like, I'm getting mixed signals here. This is weird, right? You're just getting weird vibes, basically. And you're like, which one is the right answer? So the cool thing... Yes. Oh, well, for that one, you would know by with n is like an odd or an even number. But yeah, like you get this weird thing, like what happens? So this is called rearranging terms. This is called rearranging terms. You can only do it if the series converges absolutely. That's why we actually care about the difference between conditional convergence and absolute convergence. If you converge conditionally, you cannot just rearrange terms like this to figure out what it adds up to. But if it converges absolutely, you can like do clever rearrangements and then figure out what it equals. That's actually like why they came up with this difference here. And it has to do with the fact that like if you converge absolutely, you can just like forget about the negatives basically and just add stuff together and it still works. And that's what allows you to do the rearrangement for the most part.